Welcome back to another episode of Time Capsule Tales. I'm your host, Chase, and today we embark on a journey through one of the most revolutionary periods in human history, the Industrial Revolution. Imagine a time when the world was transformed by the power of steam, the clatter of machinery, and the rise of bustling cities. The Industrial Revolution brought forth a wave of innovation that forever altered the way we live, work, and interact with the world around us. In this episode, we'll delve into the monumental inventions, societal shifts, and lasting impacts of this remarkable era. We'll explore the rise of factories, the mechanization of production, and the birth of modern industries. Join us as we uncover the era of the steam engine, the cotton gin, and the telegraph, all technological marvels that paved the way for our modern world. But the Industrial Revolution wasn't just about machines and progress. It also reshaped our societies, redefined social classes, and ignited movements for workers' rights. We'll delve into the challenges faced by factory workers, the emergence of labor movements, and the fight against child labor. As we peel back the layers of time, we'll also confront the environmental consequences of this transformative era. So fasten your seatbelts, dear listeners, as we step into the time machine and immerse ourselves in the sights, sounds, and stories of the Industrial Revolution. It's a tale of innovation, progress, and human struggles, offering lessons and reflections that continue to shape our present and future. Get ready for a riveting journey through time. Welcome to the Industrial Revolution episode of Time Capsule Tales. Section 1. Powering the Future. Unleashing the force behind industrial progress. One of the most monumental inventions of the time was the steam engine. Developed by James Watt in the late 18th century, this remarkable creation replaced traditional water and wind power with the mighty force of steam. The steam engine was a game-changer for industries, enabling factories to be located anywhere, not just near rivers or windmills. This breakthrough led to a dramatic increase in manufacturing efficiency. Another pivotal aspect of industrialization was mechanized production. The introduction of machinery and new production methods transformed the manufacturing landscape. Inventions such as the spinning jenny, power loom, and cotton gin mechanized textile production, boosting output and reducing costs. The production of iron and steel also underwent a revolution, resulting in the construction of stronger machinery and infrastructure. But it wasn't just the production processes that underwent radical change. Transportation also experienced a profound transformation during the Industrial Revolution. Canals like the renowned Bridgewater Canal in England were constructed, enabling the efficient transport of raw materials and finished products over long distances. And then came the steam-powered locomotive, represented by George Stephenson's iconic rocket. This groundbreaking invention revolutionized land transportation, making it faster, more reliable, and cost-effective. These improvements allowed for greater mobility for individuals as well as raw materials needed for factories. The inventions of the Industrial Revolution had transformative effects that rippled through society, the economy, and everyday life. First and foremost, the mechanization of textile production revolutionized the industry. Gone were the days of labor-intensive processes. Instead, machinery increased production speeds and reduced costs, making any sort of woven or knitted fabric, textiles, more affordable and accessible to a broader population. The emergence of the factory system was another significant outcome. With the adoption of machinery and new production methods, factories became the heart of manufacturing. This centralized approach brought together specialized workers and machinery under one roof, revolutionizing production and giving rise to new social and economic structures. As industrialization gained momentum, it spurred rapid urbanization. People flocked from rural areas to cities in search of employment opportunities. This influx of people led to the expansion of cities, the creation of new urban landscapes, and the development of urban social and economic structures. Industries experienced unprecedented growth thanks to technological advancements. Sectors such as textiles, iron and steel, coal mining, and railroads flourished. Increased productivity and efficiency resulted in the expansion of markets and the establishment of global trade networks. The economic landscape shifted as well. Pre-industrial economies functioned on the feudal system, in which peasants would be subject to someone who owned land. The peasant would pay the landowner for protection and the right to live on the land. This created two classes, the landowner and the peasant. In this system, the more land you owned, the more powerful you were. The creation of new industrial jobs and the accumulation of wealth gave rise to the middle class, a major step in equalizing the distribution of wealth of the time. This allowed a peasant to move to the city and begin working for a higher wage, allowing them to accumulate more wealth than was available to a peasant before. This was a major change, as the feudal system had been the primary economic system in the Western world since around the 9th century. Continuing with the transformative effects of major new technologies, another significant change was seen in the world of communication. The invention of the telegraph by Samuel Morse in the 1830s revolutionized long-distance communication. Using electrical signals transmitted through a network of wires, the telegraph enabled people to send messages across vast distances in a matter of seconds. This breakthrough in communication technology allowed for faster business transactions and enabled the logistics of large-scale factories. Moreover, as steam-powered printing presses became more prevalent, they played a crucial role in spreading information and ideas. With the ability to print newspapers, books, and pamphlets at a much faster rate, the printing press contributed to the spread of knowledge and literacy among the growing population. This facilitated the exchange of ideas, fostered intellectual and cultural developments, and ultimately contributed to social and political transformations during the era. Section 2. Building Boom, the Urban Expansion. The advances in technology during the Industrial Revolution also had a profound impact on agriculture. The introduction of new farming machinery, such as the seed drill invented by Jethro Tull, revolutionized agricultural practices. These inventions increased efficiency, reduced labor requirements, and improved crop yields. With fewer people needed for agricultural work, a surplus labor force became available for industrial jobs. The Industrial Revolution as a whole was responsible for a remarkable period of rapid city growth. As machines revolutionized production and agriculture, many people migrated from rural areas to cities in search of employment opportunities. This mass migration led to the unprecedented growth of urban centers. The transition from a primarily agrarian society to an urban-focused one was driven by the industrialization of agriculture and the rise of manufacturing industries. As machinery replaced manual labor on farms, fewer workers were needed in rural areas, leading to a decline in agricultural employment. This, coupled with the allure of employment opportunities in urban industries, prompted a mass exodus of people from rural communities to cities. The concentration of population in urban areas resulted in a fundamental shift in economic patterns. Cities became the epicenters of economic activity, attracting businesses and investment. Manufacturing industries thrived in urban centers, taking advantage of the proximity to transportation networks, resources, and a readily available labor force. This urban focus brought about significant changes in the structure of societies and economies. The rise of urban industries led to the emergence of a wage labor system, where individuals worked for wages in factories and other industrial settings. This shift away from agricultural self-sufficiency meant that people became dependent on a monetary economy and the availability of jobs to sustain themselves. Moreover, urbanization led to the development of a middle class. As new job opportunities emerged, individuals from diverse backgrounds found employment in cities. The middle class became an influential force, driving consumerism and shaping cultural trends. The growth of cities also brought about changes in social dynamics and cultural norms. The close proximity of people from different backgrounds and the exposure to diverse ideas and perspectives fueled cultural exchange and innovation. Urban centers became melting pots of various ethnicities, languages, and traditions, fostering a sense of multiculturalism. Not everything about these changes was positive, though. Living conditions in rapidly growing cities were often crowded and unsanitary. Overcrowded tenement housing and slums became common, lacking proper sanitation and basic facilities. These conditions posed risks to public health, leading to the spread of diseases such as cholera and tuberculosis. Urban infrastructure struggled to keep up with the pace of urbanization. Roads, transportation systems, and utilities faced immense pressure as cities expanded. Inadequate infrastructure strained resources, causing issues like inadequate waste management, insufficient water supply, and overcrowded public spaces. The challenges of urbanization prompted responses from both governments and individuals. Efforts were made to improve living conditions through the implementation of public health measures, sanitation systems, and urban planning. Organizations and reformers worked towards social reforms and the betterment of working and living conditions for all these new urban dwellers. Section 3. Beyond the factory gates. The emergence of unions and the workers' rights movement. Let's start the discussion of the labor movement by examining the harsh working conditions experienced by factory workers during this time. As industrialization progressed, the demand for labor in factories grew exponentially. However, this expansion often came at a significant cost to the workers. Factory laborers endured long hours, typically ranging from 12 to 16 hours per day, with minimal breaks. The work itself was physically demanding, and the monotonous tasks often led to injuries or chronic health issues. Factories were characterized by poor ventilation, inadequate lighting, and cramped spaces. Workers, including children as young as 5 or 6, faced dangerous machinery without proper safety measures in place. Accidents were frequent, and the absence of safety regulations often resulted in severe injuries or even death. The emergence of labor movements and unions during the Industrial Revolution marked a significant departure from the pre-industrial era. Prior to this period, organized labor was virtually non-existent, and workers had limited means to voice their grievances or advocate for their rights. With the rise of factories and the increasing concentration of workers, collective action became a necessity. Labor movements and unions began to form as a response to the harsh working conditions and exploitation faced by the working class. These organizations aimed to secure better wages, shorter workdays, improved safety measures, and other essential rights. Efforts to improve working conditions and advocate for workers' rights gained momentum throughout the Industrial Revolution. While numerous examples exist, let's highlight one major and well-documented case that historians widely agree on. The Triangle Shirtwaist Factory fire of 1911 in New York City stands as a tragic example that ultimately spurred significant reforms. On March 25th, a fire broke out in the factory, which occupied the upper floors of the Ash Building. Due to locked exit doors and inadequate fire safety measures, 146 workers, mostly young immigrant women, lost their lives. This devastating event shocked the public and highlighted the urgent need for change. It led to investigations, public outcry, and the formation of the Factory Investigating Commission in New York State. As a result, significant reforms were implemented, including enhanced fire safety regulations, improved building codes, and stronger labor laws. The Triangle Shirtwaist Factory fire became a catalyst for broader awareness of workers' rights and the need for workplace safety measures across the United States. It remains a poignant reminder of the sacrifices made by countless workers during the Industrial Revolution and the subsequent push for labor reforms. The labor movement was one of the most profound responses to increasing industrialization, which emerged as a direct response to the harsh working conditions of the era. Trade unions were established to unite workers and collectively negotiate for better wages, working hours, and improved conditions, aiming to address the power imbalance between employers and employees. The formation of collective bargaining agreements provided a structured framework for these negotiations, allowing workers to have a stronger voice and leverage in their dealings with employers. Additionally, the development of worker protection laws aimed to establish legal safeguards to ensure safe working environments, protect workers from exploitation, and provide recourse for labor-related disputes. These fundamental shifts not only improved working conditions at the time, but have in fact still play major roles in our modern society. Section 4. Childhood Stolen: The Dark Realities of Child Labor in the Industrial Age. As we delve deeper into the labor changes during the Industrial Revolution, one glaring issue we must address is child labor. It was a heartbreaking reality of the time that children, some as young as 6 years old, were not spared the harshness of factory work. In fact, their petite size, nimbleness, and the notion that they could be paid less than adults made them particularly attractive to factory owners. The conditions these child laborers endured were harsh, and by today's standards, unthinkable. They worked the same long hours as adults, often in dangerous, dirty, and unhealthy environments. Their tasks often included tending to the machines, cleaning the machinery, and even crawling into tight, risky spaces that adults could not reach. Injuries, illnesses, and fatalities were not uncommon, and child laborers rarely received any form of education, thus perpetuating cycles of poverty. The reasons behind the widespread use of child labor were primarily economic. During the early stages of the Industrial Revolution, There were simply not enough adults to meet the labor demands of the rapidly expanding industries. In addition, many working-class families were in desperate economic circumstances, and every pair of working hands, no matter how small, could contribute to the family's survival. It's important to note that while child labor was not a new concept, the Industrial Revolution was one of the times that it was most prevalent throughout history. Social reformers and labor unions soon began to take note and fight against child labor. Advocacy for child labor laws began as early as the mid-19th century in Britain, and similar efforts gradually spread to other industrialized nations. In the United States, laws regulating child labor were relatively slow to pass at a national level, primarily due to the decentralized nature of the pre-Civil War government, and resistance from industries that relied on cheap labor. It wasn't until the early 20th century that substantial nationwide regulations were established, such as the Fair Labor Standards Act of 1938, which set federal standards for child labor. The abolition and regulation of child labor represent a key aspect of the societal response to the conditions brought about by the Industrial Revolution. The movement against child labor not only brought about immediate improvements in the lives of children, but also broader changes in societal norms and attitudes towards childhood and education. Even today, the regulations and standards set during these reform efforts serve as the foundation for child labor laws around the world. While we have come a long way since the grim days of the Industrial Revolution, the struggle against child labor remains a relevant issue in many parts of the world today. This chapter from history serves as a stark reminder of the lengths societies can go to in the pursuit of progress, and the importance of ensuring that such progress is tempered with an unwavering commitment to human rights and dignity. Section 5. Poisoned skies and polluted waters. The ecological impact of progress. Now, as we shift our focus to the environmental impacts of the Industrial Revolution, we must remember that this era was characterized by an unprecedented acceleration in the harnessing of natural resources. Before the Industrial Revolution, societies relied largely on renewable sources for their energy needs, such as wood, wind, and water. The revolution, however, ushered in a new era of coal and then petroleum use. These fossil fuels powered the engines, factories, and machines that were the beating heart of this transformative era. Coal mining in particular had significant environmental consequences. The extraction process led to deforestation, land degradation, and the release of harmful substances into nearby water sources. In Britain alone, coal production surged from around 10 million tons in 1800 to nearly 250 million tons by 1900. The introduction of large-scale manufacturing resulted in an immense increase in air and water pollution. Smokestacks belched thick, toxic clouds, blackening the skies and infiltrating the lungs of those living in urban areas. In fact, it was during this time that the term smog, a combination of smoke and fog, was coined to describe the pollution-heavy air that hung over industrial cities. In terms of water, untreated waste from factories flowed directly into rivers and streams, turning them into lifeless, polluted conduits. The River Thames in London became so contaminated that in the summer of 1858, it caused the Great Stink, making the river's surroundings almost unbearable. Another time, in 1854, there was an outbreak of cholera in London that was eventually traced back to a single contaminated water source, resulting from the poor sanitation practices of the time. Later, in the 1950s, the River Thames would be declared biologically dead from the pollution contained under the surface. Furthermore, the demand for natural resources resulted in unprecedented deforestation. Trees were felled not only for construction materials but also to make way for railways and expanding urban areas. This rapid and extensive deforestation disrupted ecosystems and caused a significant loss of biodiversity. It's important to consider the long-term environmental impact of the Industrial Revolution. It set the stage for the mass consumption and waste production that characterize our societies today. For instance, the carbon dioxide released from burning fossil fuels has accumulated in the atmosphere, leading to the warming of the atmosphere. Research from the World Meteorological Organization reveals that between 1750 and 2011, approximately 375 billion tons of carbon have been released into the atmosphere from the consumption of fossil fuels and cement production, marking the dawn of our environmental crisis. In retrospect, while the Industrial Revolution spurred remarkable economic growth and technological advancements, It also sowed the seeds of the significant environmental challenges we face today. Reflecting on this, we can see the importance of sustainable development and responsible resource management in our continued pursuit of progress. Section 6. Charting the path forward, navigating the aftermath of industrialization. As we reflect on the Industrial Revolution, it becomes evident that its impact on our world today is truly profound. The inventions and technologies born during this era have shaped the very fabric of our modern society and paved the way for remarkable advancements. One of the most significant legacies of the Industrial Revolution is the development of machinery and manufacturing processes that have become the backbone of modern industry. The mechanization of production revolutionized manufacturing, leading to increased efficiency, higher productivity, and the ability to produce goods on a massive scale. Without the foundation laid by the Industrial Revolution, our modern factories and assembly lines, powered by advanced machinery and automation, would not exist. The revolution also spurred innovations in transportation and communication, transforming how we connect with one another and navigate the world. The steam engine, railways, and steam-powered ships revolutionized transportation, making it faster, more reliable, and accessible to larger populations. These advancements laid the groundwork for the sophisticated transportation systems we rely on today, from high-speed trains to international air travel. Moreover, the Industrial Revolution paved the way for significant technological breakthroughs that have revolutionized various industries. The development of the telegraph and steam-powered printing presses laid the foundation for modern communication systems and the rapid exchange of information. The textile machinery created during this period spurred advancements in textiles and apparel manufacturing, leading to the innovative materials and technologies used in the fashion industry today. The revolution in iron and steel production resulted in stronger materials, enabling the construction of massive structures and the development of modern infrastructure. The Industrial Revolution also had profound implications for society and the economy. It gave rise to the middle class, with increased job opportunities and the redistribution of wealth. The emergence of the factory system and the labor movement during this time laid the groundwork for workers' rights and the development of labor laws that continue to shape employment practices today. The revolution also paved the way for a shift towards urbanization, creating the foundation for the bustling cities we see around the world today. However, it is essential to acknowledge that the Industrial Revolution also had its dark side, with exploitative labor practices and environmental consequences. The lessons learned from this period have led to increased awareness and efforts towards sustainable development, responsible resource management, and the improvement of working conditions. The revolution has left an unforgettable mark on our world. Its inventions and technologies continue to shape our lives today, from the machinery that powers our industries to the advanced communication systems that connect us globally. It laid the foundation for modern transportation, economic systems, and societal structures. As we close this episode of Time Capsule Tales, we reflect on the profound impact of the Industrial Revolution. It was an era of both triumphs and challenges, a time of great advancements and societal transformations, but also one marked by social inequality, environmental degradation, and labor exploitation. Through understanding and appreciating this period, we gain insights into our past, present, and future. Join us next time as we dive into another captivating tale from history, unearthing the stories that shape our world and highlighting the lessons we can learn from our past. Until then, remember to keep your curiosity alive and embrace the power of history in understanding our shared human journey. This has been your host, Chase, and I want to thank you for joining me on this episode of Time Capsule Tales. Until next week.